Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ministry Mondays with Meg. I'm Meg. I am Reverend Meg Biddle. I am the National Coordinator of Ministry Life and the American Baptist Personnel Services, and I serve at the American Baptist Home Mission Societies in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So there's my little commercial, and just want to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, I have as my guest my friend and colleague, Reverend Cody Knapic, who's the pastor of Crainville Baptist Church. Cody, thanks
Hello,
for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. And hello to everybody else that may or may not be on with us.
So, it's always fun when you have somebody that doing this. So I know who you are, and I told him, yeah, you're a pastor, but so why don't you tell everybody who may not know you a little bit about you and ministry, what life's like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Cody. I'm the pastor of Crainville Baptist Church, which is a very tiny rural city right outside of Carbondale, Illinois, which a lot of you probably don't know where Carbondale is, but we are at the bottom part of Illinois, pretty about an hour away from Missouri and an hour away from Kentucky. So been serving here for a little bit over 4.5 years. It's been a good time, definitely a challenging time, as any pastor will tell you that's been serving, especially throughout the pandemic. So, but been really good. Met my wife down here, got married about 1.5 years ago, and everything else is just going and getting there. I do think that the most displayed aspect of my personality, for those that are watching, is exactly what you see on the screen. Meg is wonderful and professional and has this beautiful, calm thing, in my office is chaotic and sensory overload, but that's kind of me in a nutshell. So but yeah, we have a church down here. It's roughly about 115 members a week. Obviously more that we interact with and stuff, but we've got different missions that we participate in down here. One of the really nice things about our rural city is that we have a really good ministerial alliance. So we've partnered up with about 6 other churches, and it definitely helps all the churches be able to do a little bit more. And then obviously the location where we're at, we are connected to another city named Carterville. Really, if you just drive down the street, you're in Crainville 1 second and Carterville the next second. So we have a lot of interactions with both cities, city councils and city halls, and do everything that we can to just kind of help out both communities, since we have a lot of members that live in both Crainville and Carterville. So but yeah, we are just trucking along, trying to navigate some stuff. Been extremely blessed. We have a lot of nurses and teachers here, and so we've been able to really look at that and use those as much as possible, and just the sense of being the hands and feet and everything that we're hopefully called for in this community. So some of the different missions that we do here, one of our unique ones, I was telling Reverend Meg about this before we got on, was we have a quilting group that consists of different ladies that hand quilt, quilts. That was weird, but they've been doing it for forever, and we have some really gorgeous quilts that are in the church. One actually depicts the transition of the church as a whole, because it used to start with a little tiny white church back in 1890, and now is a 3-building campus. that takes up about 2 city blocks by 1 city block. So it's been cool. They do a lot to help the building fund and continue to enjoy, and it's also just wonderful to talk with them and see how much it helps them out and stuff. So that's kind of a pretty cool, unique one that we've got. In fact, I'll grab one of my stoles here in a little bit. It was made by one of them, and it matches our stained glass windows that we have in our sanctuary. So that's a pretty endeared aspect to my stole collection. So, but other than that, we participate in Gumdrops, which is a group that provides meals for children at school that potentially don't have meals at home waiting for them. And we participate in our community pantry, try and provide food any way, shape, and form that we can. The cities, obviously, during COVID and the extreme rough times that we're going on through that, we opened up a lot of drive-through food distributings about once a month. Crainville Baptist, and then another Baptist church here in Crainville called Love and Truth. We came together with the city, and the 3 of us worked together to try and help everybody out and stuff. And we have a Meals on Wheels program that feeds elderly and disabled that aren't able to get out. Within the church itself, we've kind of been looking at different things, trying out some new things. We've got an amazing women's circle that is extremely involved in the ABEW. They do a lot of different things every year. During Christmas time, we have a mission tree that they put on that's in the back that makes funds to different missions at the time. In fact, our youth group actually went to Kodiak Baptist Mission, which is one of your guys' partners. And in fact, Kelly's going to be one of the speakers at Space for Grace this year. And the Women's Circle made their mission tree for their Kodiak Baptist Mission that year, and really unified with the youth and helped them out. So we have a bunch of loving and giving people, and we're just trying to create more opportunity to make people effective, whatever that looks like in their context, but also to give people opportunities to do stuff. So we're in the process right now of trying to I'm in the process right now of trying to build together a new mission for our church that is extremely focused on some of the geographical beauties that we have around here. When you say Illinois, everyone thinks about 2 things: Chicago or farmland.
Right.
And we're far enough on the south that I tell people we're kind of like the Ozarks of Illinois. We've got rock formations, we've got forest, we've got a national park that's about 6 miles south of us. We've got a lot of refuges, a lot of lakes. Hunting, fishing's very popular down here and stuff. So we've just been trying to look at navigating and building a new mission to be able to balance the spiritual aspects of multiple recreations that we have down here, and also really focus on how we can take better care of our planet and be good stewards like Genesis tells us to. So we're in the process of building that up right now. We're in the process of just getting people to reflect and look in and figure out some of their own gifts and what God's calling them to do on a daily basis. So we're just a little bit running around doing a little bit of everything right now.
So after I don't know that we said the pandemic's over, because we're still trying to enter that endemic phase. How has that changed things in your congregation, or did it really? I mean, I know how it affected the Midwest was very different than it was on the different coasts.
Yeah.
So I
can sit here and tell you what I think. I mean, obviously, like you said, we're definitely not through it. I think we're, step in the right direction, right? We're not on complete lockdown anymore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I live in an area where it probably wasn't focused on as much as some of the bigger cities, just because the population is nowhere near the same level. We obviously had a lot of connections from a state-wise because we have Chicago, and Chicago was getting hit very hard. We do have interfluxes where we per capita try and keep up with Chicago, which is frustrating every once in a while. But overall, I think it's just been everyone's trying to be as safe as they can be without really changing a whole lot. We went to hybrid service there for the longest time. Went to 2 services because we're right above the threshold of being able to do it as safe as possible. We did streaming service only for about 9 months while we were actually in the lockdown, and we really tried focusing as much possible on just taking care of our own flock in that process. Now that we're on the outer side, it's been a lot of more time of sitting down and saying, okay, now that we don't have all these restrictions, how do we do ministry? Like, how do we still take care of our people? How do we make sure that we're not taking advantage of the blessings that God's given us, but how do we also make sure that we're not being illogical in putting people at risk? So we still do a hybrid. We have a YouTube channel. We stream. We have probably close to probably about 10 members that medically just still feel like it's not their time, which is perfectly fine. They join us on YouTube and have a wonderful time with us there. And but other than that, we've opened up for the most part back to the normal. This area has as a whole. Again, just because the numbers are very little. I mean, I keep forgetting not all of you know all of our stuff. So Crainville and Carterville together have a little bit less than 10,000 people population-wise. So it's not very, very condensed, but it's also bigger than some other towns that I know of, like Taylorville, where there's 500 people. So
Right.
So we're right in the middle. We are stuck in between what they like to call in Southern Illinois as the 2 big cities, Carbondale and Marion, which one has the population of 24,000 and the other one is like at 23. So those are the big cities around here. So we flex. The very big in the sense of group communities. I mean, there's 7 towns all within 3 miles of where my church is. So there's a lot of ways that we work with a lot of the other communities and stuff too, to just try and be able to implement the most and help out everybody as much as possible. So it's just a good little mixture. So
as you've done the best you could do, it sounds like you guys are getting yourselves back together after the pandemic, or come back together as the pandemic. You're working in your community to try and create. I love that idea of taking, like your natural resources, like the state park and all of that, and creating ministry out of there. Was that something like you just, what was it that facilitated like that kind of need for that kind of ministry?
Yeah, I joke with everybody that there's about three different religious pools in this area. The first one is Christianity. The second one is baseball, and the third one is the outdoors. So it was really just sitting down and thinking and having conversations with a lot of people here about kind of some of their interests. And I just sat down one day and I was like, how much of the spiritual side of it do you guys focus on? And a lot of people were like, well, we know about it, but we don't probably like focus on it as much. And I was like, something easy and something that we have a want here. We have a bunch. We actually have a American Baptist Church that we're friends with in Ava, which is about an hour away, that has a hunting service. They the first Sunday of hunting season, everyone comes and wears their hunting gear, and they pray for a good hunt, and that's just kind of Southern Illinois in a nutshell. So it was like, how can we do that? How can we create a healthy balance between people's church life and people's hobbies on the outside? Um, I feel, and I think a lot of pastors feel this way, that for us it is a lot more combined. Like everything I do is a way of worship and is a way of continuing. Sometimes that's not as predominant with our flocks, for no other reason other than just they're not in the church every single day like a lot of us are. So so just building things where you can sit down and say, listen, you love to kayak? Well, let me show you how to do some Christian meditation where you can appreciate the blessing that we have, because it really is a blessing. I mean, talk about trying to focus on your own health and stuff. If I wasn't surrounded by nature the way I was, I don't think I would have been able to handle the pandemic as well as I did. And that's not to say that I handled it well, that just to say that it could have been a lot worse at things. So having what we have in our backyard, it's like, why are we not using it? Why are we not, every kid in our church should grow up understanding and knowing that we're called by God to take care of our land and take care of our animals, and to really and truly have that stewardship, and just push it a lot more, and say, hey, we're extremely blessed to have this. If at some point in time you move, you're not going to have this anymore. So appreciate it, take care of it, do the stewardly thing that God calls us to do, to take care of it and to love it, and to not take advantage of it, but to truly have a connection with.
So some of that creation justice stuff that often gets overlooked. I mean, yeah, we talk about climate change and we talk about global warming, whatever you want to call it, but you don't talk about really, how we got.
Yeah.
It's just been, well, we've ignored it, kind of thing. And what we're called to do with this that we're borrowing.
Yeah. Well, that, and there we have a pretty weird dynamic here. So I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, which is where the University of Kansas is, and we have something like 68 parks in our city. It was very EPA, very nature, very predominant in taking care of areas you were at and stuff. And then I came here, and I'd grown up being extremely appreciative of everything that EPA was. And I came here and I saw the exact opposite of it, because this was a very big coal mining area. And then once the EPA came in, it didn't meet the requirements for safe energy, exactly. So a lot of those mines closed, but other than just those mines closing, it completely destroyed infrastructures of cities. I mean, there's a city down here named that's Cairo, and it's at the base of Illinois, and it's really close to the rivers, and it was hugely based on the port system, especially with coal. And once all the mines closed, it's basically a ghost town now. And so it was more than just mines closing. It was cities and infrastructures, and every base of an identity were all closing. So it was a culture shock to come here, because a lot of people were very against it. And then I can throw a baseball across the road and hit a wild refuge that we're extremely close to. So it's trying to navigate those two and understand both sides of it, and to see that. So now I think we're in the process of hopefully creating something that will build a better connect for it. And I'm not saying that in the sense that as soon as all that happened, that everyone was like, forget nature or anything like that, but just to kind of give a better taste in the mouth, I guess, for the stewardship that Genesis does Genesis does provide us, that God says, hey, I created this. I want you to take care of it. I want you to love it. I want you to really interact with it more than just being in control. Like, I want you to understand this blessing. And I think that's the direction we're headed for. As anybody that's a pastor knows, it definitely takes a little bit longer to do something than to just pop it off for long-term stuff. So
right. So is that really your biggest challenge? I mean, you've said you're this town in the middle of, two bigger ones.
Yeah.
I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, with 2,000 people and no stoplight. They still don't have a stoplight today, which is good and bad. So is that really that, where you've had businesses close down, towns fold? Is that really where a lot of your challenges come from? Is that lack of employment where you're at now?
Well, so this area that we're at used to be very mine focused. I think they rotated very quickly. As I said earlier, we have a bunch of teachers and professors, and we have a bunch of nurses. We have a lot that rely on Southern Illinois University, the Salukis. And then we have a lot that are very connected with Southern Illinois Healthcare, which is one of the dominant healthcare systems in this area. So a lot of it is more on those aspects now. But just like everybody else in this time, Crainville and Carterville both had to sit back and say, okay, what do we do now? How do we do it? What does it look like? So we have been spared. Our little stretch of 13, for the most part, has been spared in the sense that we've been able to find something else. Cairo and Creel and stuff like that, all of those are a lot smaller cities that are a little bit farther away from 13. They are having a little bit harder time bouncing back compared to us, but that's because our mentality completely shifted. That went from blue collar to more educational and workforce assets as nurses and doctors and professors and teachers. So
I'm so glad, because I didn't have that experience when I was in Carlinville. When the mines closed up, there it was. We had the university with Blackburn College that was there, but that's not enough to sustain a town. And so, a small college and a small hospital just isn't gonna cut it. So, it really speaks to the challenges, and I love that how your church it sounds like has adapted to those challenges that have come your way, and you work with others in the community. Denominationally, right? So, I think those things are beautiful and lovely, and an important part of the ministry, really.
Yeah. It's definitely, I definitely don't want anybody to think that we don't have our own stuff going on. Things are definitely hard in different spurts and stuff. We have, we actually just did, the numbers are probably a little bit far off now, but if you take the attendance of the churches that participate in the Ministerial Alliance compared to what they say our full-on population is, we are serving about 19% of people that are in our own area. And so it's definitely been to sit back. Now, we do have a thing, because we are so close to Marion and Carbondale, where there is a lot of people that go to some of the bigger churches that we have, like Cornerstone and stuff like that. So, but still, let's throw out a crazy number and say that it's 30%. It's still only 30%. So I think it's definitely been been a big challenge, and I'm extremely blessed by the other pastors that are in the ministerial alliance to walk alongside me, where we just really we sit down and we just listen. We try and figure out what's best for our community as a whole, and try and work together as much as possible. We actually just created a church walk where people at the churches would go to the different schools and walk around school and pray for the students, pray for the teachers, pray for the faculty and the staff. This was our first year doing it, and it was really good, and that really just stemmed from sitting down and listening. We have a bunch of people that were like, hey, why aren't we doing this? And if you want to do it, we'll do what we can do to get it going. So extremely thankful for that. And our city councils both do a really good job of trying to find ways to kind of encourage the small, happy town vibe. We have a thing called Christmas in Carterville every December, and the first year I was here, I went with another pastor friend, and I looked at him and I said, it's like a Hallmark Channel movie, like it's my downtown. So we are extremely focused on trying to work with our community, but we also understand and know that there's something that definitely still needs to be worked on, because 30% on the high side is still not very good, and we just want people to know that the love of Christ is there, and that we're here to help people, and that we're here to just conversate, not push anybody any type of way, but just let them know that there are people here that do care for them. So
okay, so here's a random question.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's fun. So people who may have never met you before, know nothing about you, what's something you could tell them about Cody, about who Cody is,
Oh, I don't know. I think that more of a better question for you and some of my other peer colleagues. I don't know, very authentic. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but I have a wonderful, wonderful heart to just care for people. I told my church when they first hired me that honestly, if they would just give me the same amount of money to sit in a coffee shop and talk to people, that I would be probably the happiest person in the world. I do have to admit that as I'm getting a little bit older and a little bit wiser, that I definitely don't talk as much, but I've gotten in trouble for the last 32 years for talking too much. So I'm just definitely a people person, and just enjoy walking with people and getting to know them, and going to ball games and dance recitals. And I joked with my church, I felt like I had about 30 kids when I first moved here, because I was single at the time and had absolutely nothing else to do than go to all of the games and dance recitals and musical concerts and stuff. So I'm just definitely all about the people, very extroverted. So
and do you have a sports team? Do you have
yes,
you have a team?
So originally and fully, I'm a Chiefs fan. I bleed the Chiefs from being from Kansas, and I actually got extremely lucky because this part of Southern Illinois is really divided between the Chiefs, the Titans, and the Bears. So I'm not by myself out here. There's other Chiefs fans. So other than that, there's actually a small little. We are definitely in Cardinal territory. For those that don't know how everything around the Cardinals work, for the longest time, they would broadcast on the radio, and it would be a free radio station for the entire area. So there's a lot of people in this area that have grown up as Cardinals fans for their entire lives and the lives of their parents and their grandparents. And my father is actually a Cubs fan, so for Father's Day, the first year I was here, I bought him Cubs Cardinals tickets and wore a Cubs shirt because he is a Cubs fan, and my church did not like that. So now we have a little bickering that goes back and forth because, well, it kind of goes back to your personality question. I'm one of those people that if you tell me I'm something enough, I'll be that something, whether I'm that something or not. So I guess I'm an honorary Cubs fan. I don't really enjoy baseball that much, which kind of is disappointing in this area because, like I said, it is a secondary religion in this area. But yeah, the Chiefs love soccer. St. Louis just got a new soccer team. Nashville just got a new soccer team, and both those cities aren't too far away. So I'm definitely a Sporting KC fan. Ultimately, try and go see them when they come this direction. But yeah, I love it all. Love it all.
Saying you don't like baseball is like saying you don't like basketball in Indiana.
Yeah, same
people
thing.
Look at you like you have two heads or something.
Exactly. You say the same thing where I grew up about basketball, and people look at you weird. So
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. They do. So as we wrap up here, I have that final question for you, the one that I ask everybody, the joy question. So in everything that you do, answer this however you would like. What brings you joy?
Yeah. The biggest constant thing is the people. I feel like this is not going to be crazy to any pastor that hears this or any pastor that's watching with us right now. There is a lot of sleepless nights. There is a lot of heavy hearts time that you have. And I think the one thing that kind of pushes you through it and keeps you going is the people, is the people that you get to not only preach for, but the people that you really get to live life with. I actually just celebrated my 32nd birthday yesterday, and it's obviously a pretty big deal when the pastor's birthday is on a Sunday. So during church, our junior church, a bunch of the kids drew and wrote happy birthday and just encouraging messages, and it's actually on my bulletin board outside of my office right now. And they in fact, let me move my shoulder. There we go. I got that little tiny pillow back there from VBS that just is just from all the kids saying, hey, we appreciate you as our pastor, and we appreciate and love you, and just stuff like that. That's where the real joy comes from, is the people. I am newly married. There's a lot of joy there, and a lot of joy with my wife. She encourages me and lets me see things from a new perspective, which is always a good thing. And but other than that, I think joy was something that a lot of pastors focused on during the pandemic, mainly because we had a lot of time to think about it and stuff. And so been on this journey of trying to take a better care of myself and bring the joy out in that too. So like I said, our backyard is a play area. So we try and go boating, try and go fishing. I'm not very good at fishing, but I enjoy it. Try to kayak and hike. We have a boxer husky named Miska that absolutely loves going hiking with us. So we try and take him out and stuff. So really just trying to focus on the time that we have with nature, the time we have with each other, and the joy that community brings. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things, especially for us as American Baptists, is that community. So that's definitely where the joy is at. The joy is at with the people that we get to walk with in this life.
Did you want to show off your stole?
Oh yeah, I can do that
before we close.
This matches our stained glass windows.
That's lovely.
We have 11 stained glass windows in our sanctuary, and each one has a different logo on the inside of them.
Oh wow!
So when I first got here, I looked at one of my quilters and I said, "Hey, can you make me one to match the sanctuary?" So it's great. We love it. I love it. It's a little bit heavy duty for pastors that wear stoles. You'll know how wonderful that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people is the joy for sure. It's the reason why I get up. It's the reason why I go through a bunch of the things that I go through, and it's the reason why we keep doing what we do is just the interaction and the relationships that we have with people.
Well, I'm grateful for you for taking this time to chat with me and share your ministry, and a little bit about Crainville. And appreciate that the good ministry, the great work that you're still doing for the kingdom there in Crainville, Illinois. I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks at Space for Grace.
Yeah.
So this again I'm Reverend Meg Biddle from the American Baptist on Mission Society, and my guest today has been Reverend Cody Knapic, pastor of Crainville Baptist Church. You can catch Ministry Mondays with Meg on Facebook. On where are we at? We're everywhere. We're Facebook. Yeah. We are on YouTube. You can catch us on Ministry Life. But we try to go live Mondays at 11 on Facebook, and just sharing others' ministries and the great work that folks are doing. So thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Cody, for being a part of this today.
Of course. Thanks for having me, and thank you for all the work that you do. And it's been amazing to watch these on Mondays. So thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.